Today we are building this stereo 3-way bookshelf speaker with glow-in-the-dark omnidirectional reflective lens for the tweeter. This video is sponsored by JLC PCB. Visit their website jlcpcb.com to find out what PCB and assembly services they offer, but also to easily upload your Gerber files to order high quality and affordable PCBs quickly. You can get 5 PCBs for only $2. It took exactly 1 week to receive my PCBs and I could not be happier with the quality. The PCB is a 12 volt and 5 volt DC power supply board to power a CD-ROM drive and part of a project to build my own CD player. But that will be for another day, so let's continue with this speaker project. This design is really an evolution of 2 previous projects. Back in June of 2017, the Cyclops omnidirectional speaker project. This was a popular project probably due to its unusual design, but I never released build plans. There were several flaws with this design and to some extent it was just an experimental build. One problem was the wide top baffle, which caused some diffraction issues in the full range driver's response, thus made the crossover unnecessarily complex and I abandoned the idea for the time being. The second project was a design I did not even release as a build project, even though I got quite far in its development. This design omitted the forward firing tweeter, but it did not eliminate any of the diffraction issues caused by the wide top baffle of the full range driver. So I decided to start with a blank piece of paper and design something that will address many of the issues that I encountered in the first 2 builds. My aim was never really to design an omnidirectional speaker, but to build a speaker that will give me great depth of soundstage, precise imaging, a sense of scale and presence. A lot of these characteristics are up to the crossover and the final frequency response, but presence is really something that can be achieved with the use and placement of the tweeter or the tweeters. This has led me to this design. Here you can see the holes for the side firing 5-inch woofer and the forward firing full range driver. The tweeter is mounted on top towards the front and the reflective lens is a round ball suspended above the tweeter. The enclosure is made of 16mm MDF with an internal enclosure for the full range driver and a slot port. This acts as bracing for the enclosure as well as a small brace placed next to the woofer to eliminate cabinet vibrations. You can see the top baffle for the top and front is much narrower and thus also determining the placement of the woofer towards the side instead of firing down. Corners are heavily rounded to try and eliminate as much diffraction effects as possible. One challenge was finding a reflective object that could act as a reflective lens for the upfiring tweeter. I came across these acrylic juggling balls, perfectly round and just the right size for the application. They come in many variations, but I opted for the glow-in-the-dark ball just to add a bit of fun to the build. I used the CNC router to cut the top, front and side baffles in which we will be mounting the 3 drivers, but you can easily cut these with a router and circle cut and jig as I have done before in many of my previous videos. The rest of the panels were all cut with a table saw and miter saw. I recently got this cordless trim router from Banggood.com and it uses a Makita 18 volt battery pack. So if you have Makita cordless tools already, this is a very good option. It only has 1 speed, but it works really well and the cordless nature makes it just so easy to use. I'll put a purchase link in the description below. I'm using it here with a 45-degree bevel cut router bit to bevel the inside edge of the holes for the full range and side firing woofer. After taking measurements of the drivers in the enclosure, I modeled the crossover in XM. I managed to keep the parts count relatively small for a 3-way design and still achieve the response curve that I was looking for. Here you can see the woofer is running without crossover and overlaps with the full range driver over a fairly wide region. The full range and tweeter crossover point is at approximately 2700 Hz. Impedance is a nominal 4 ohm. The overall frequency response runs slightly downwards from bass to treble, with a wide dip in the upper vocal region before the treble rises again slightly. This gives us a good natural sounding bass response, vocals that does not sound like you have headphones on, a treble that is crisp, not bright, with good presence. The speaker is capable of creating a deep and wide soundstage and accurate imaging. So everyone, I really hope you enjoyed this project. I am super happy with the outcome of this little speaker. It sounds absolutely fantastic and does exactly what I set out to achieve. The speaker is the result of years of prototyping, testing, listening and learning. If you want to build your own like this, then head over to my website at soundblab.net where you can purchase the build plans. Then to all my patrons on Patreon, thank you very much for your continued support. If you are not a patron yet, please head over and check out my Patreon page. I have been also adding and uploading further behind the scenes and more detailed information of how I designed and built this particular speaker. Before we do a quick sound demo where I will also show what these look like with the glow-in-the-dark balls in a dark room, please subscribe to my channel if you have not done so yet, and please give this video a thumbs up. Until next time, adios, let's do the demo.
Be loved by you, be loved by you. I don't need to be hurt or rescued, not by you.